The barbarians didn't destroy Rome. Rome had already destroyed itself. The barbarians merely walked over the rubble.
It's a powerful statement, isn't it? It suggests those external pressures were maybe just the final push against a structure that was already crumbling from the inside.
Yeah. And speaking of crumbling from the inside, while all this is happening at the borders, Rome's economy was going through, well, the sources call it an earthquake.
That's a good way to put it. By the 4th, 5th centuries, the state was described as financially exhausted, just running on fumes.
Think about it. How does the state pay its army, maintain roads, fund the bureaucracy? It all needs a functioning economy.
Right. And the source points out Rome's economy was basically cracking under its own weight.
What were the main cracks?
Well, one huge one was its fundamental structure, especially that over-reliance on slavery. For centuries, Roman expansion meant a constant flow of enslaved people. Super cheap labor for farms, mines, workshops.
But the conquests eventually stopped, right?
Exactly. As expansion slowed and then ended, that river of enslaved people dried up, and this hit agriculture, industry, everything. A key engine of the economy just stalled.
Then there's the classic problem, inflation, hyperinflation even.
Yep. Emperors, desperate for cash to pay the army, fund the bureaucracy, they started debasing the currency, reducing the silver content, the gold content in the coins, making more coins, but with less valuable metal in them.
Which means?
Predictably, prices went through the roof. Confidence in the money just plummeted. People started reverting to barter. The whole economic system began to fracture. And the state, it found it harder and harder to collect taxes that were actually worth anything.
Which only made them more desperate for money, I imagine, leading to more taxes.
Crippling taxation, that's the sources call it. To squeeze out revenue, they levied heavier and heavier taxes, especially on landowners, the agricultural base.
And what did the landowners do?
The consequences were devastating. Many couldn't afford it or didn't want to pay. They simply abandoned their land, fled the tax collectors.
Leaving the land empty.
Or leaving the people who remained tied to the land in a state much like serfdom. And that crucial middle class, the merchants, the local officials, the backbone of city life, they were crushed. They disintegrated. Whole regions became depopulated.
So the picture the sources paint is just bleak. A brittle skeleton of an economy.
Yeah. Plagued by monopolies held by the powerful, rampant corruption, cities shrinking, trade routes neglected and dangerous, the countryside emptying out. It's grim.
It really serves as a cautionary tale, doesn't it? About overreach, mismanagement.
Absolutely. An empire can look mighty on the outside, but if the economic foundations are rotten, it just doesn't have the resilience to handle shocks, whether they come from outside or inside.
And beyond the money, there was this deep crisis in leadership, wasn't there? Who was actually, running the show. And did anyone even trust them anymore?
Well, the late Western emperors. Let's just say